Hi, everyone. This is Nicole here, Be So Creative in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Super excited to share with you our Kimberbell Digital Dealer exclusive project for May. How adorable are these? So this is such a cute little pot holder. If you are familiar with the Chanel fruit stand pot holder, this is a new friend. I just love the way they did this one. This would go perfectly with those. So let me hold it closer. It says you're one in a melon. How sweet is that? So we're going to walk through the steps on how to make this adorable pot holder. We're going to talk about how to get our loop placed nicely, how to get this great chenille, and some other cute little details that you can add. Let me show you its friend. You will get this if you purchase a digital dealer exclusive in 3 sizes. This is the biggest size, and this is a cute little baby, and even the baby has the great words on there. So let me pull up our presentation and we'll get started stitching. All right, for this project, we will be using the size of hoop that you choose to use for the size you picked. And so there's a picture of all 3. You can do this in your baby 4x4. You can do it in your 5x7 and even your 8x8. For this project, we'll be using a medium cutaway stabilizer, and you'll need red, white, and light green, and a black thread. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prep our fabric. You'll have 2 back pieces that you want to fold together, wrong sides together, and press it well. So that's how we get this beautiful envelope closing on the back. You're going to go ahead and load the desired size that you wanted to make into your machine and go ahead and hoop your stabilizer. So the first thing we're going to do is stitch out our batting placement line. We're going to stitch that directly on the stabilizer. You'll go ahead and place your project batting. I would recommend, just take a quick minute here. If you really are going to use this for hot stuff, I would definitely recommend more than just a project batting. Any cotton batting is going to be great. You would want to steer clear of polyester because that could melt if it gets too warm. If you truly want to use this as a hot pad, meaning you will be placing hot dishes on this, you might consider putting a layer of Insulbrite in there. Or even doing a couple layers, maybe a layer of Insulbrite and cotton or 2 layers of Insulbrite. If it's just going to be a little cutie decoration, then yes, one little layer of cotton will be just fine. Or you could even, if you had a poly, as long as it's not going to be anywhere near hot stuff. So we're going to place our project batting, and then we're going to stitch out the piecing template. We are not trimming anything at this time. We're piecing in the hoop, and this is simply going to be our guideline. So we have a great little diagram that's going to let us know we have pieces 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and all of those were in your cutting directions. So we are going to place our background fabric piece 1 right side up, covering section 1, and we are going to stitch the trimming placement line. You're going to trim the fabric close to that stitch line. And then we are going to get our border 2 piece. We are going to lay that fabric right side down with the edge centered along the placement line and stitch our seam 2. And then we're going to flip and press. This is a great time to pull out your Clover fabric folding pin and use that to help you get a nice crease on that. Then we're going to do step 5, which is a trimming placement line for your piece number 3. So you'll do the stitch, and then you'll trim that fabric close to the line. You'll get your piece 3 fabric right side down, centered along that placement line, and then we'll stitch our seam 3. Again, we'll flip and press, and we're going to do the exact same thing to do our other 2 sides. You'll stitch out the trimming placement line, trim it, place your fabric, flip it. Same thing on that right border. And now we get to the fun part. We're going to do the crosshatch quilting. So first it's going to tack everything down so you don't have to worry about anything flipping up. And then we're going to do that really great teeny tiny crosshatch quilting. I'm going to do it up close. How sweet is that? Now the fun part, let's build our watermelon. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to place our rind fabric. We're going to stitch out the placement line, place your rind fabric right side up, tack it down, then trim it close. And then we're going to do a decorative stitch around that little rind. The next thing we're going to do is stitch our watermelon placement line. And here's where you need to keep in mind, you can do this chenilled as I did with this one, and it's all nice and fuzzy. You can see that great texture, but you don't have to. On this little baby, we just did our cute little fabric, not chenilled. So at this point, you're going to place your watermelon fabric right side up. Go ahead and tack that down, trim it close to the line, and then do your decorative outline stitch. Next, you are going to do your rind satin stitch, and that just does it really close up here. So at this point, if you've decided you're not going to chenille it, go all the way forward to step 47 in your paper directions, and you'll probably have to wait just a couple of minutes for us to get through the other steps. So if you're chenilling it, we have 3 extra pieces of fabric. We're going to place those fabrics right side up. And I will say that in this example, they're showing a printed fabric. And you can see the front is a little bit lighter than the threads on the back. This is going to give you that nice kind of mixed texture when you do your watermelon of lighter and darker threads. On my watermelon, I did a solid fabric, a Bella solid. The fabric looked red on both sides, back or front, and you can see just how rich that makes it look. So definitely take care when you pick your fabric. You can get some really fun effects. We are going to stitch the watermelon basting stitch lines as well as the chenille lines. After that, we are going to remove the excess fabric. So we are going to trim those 3 layers, just going around the watermelon. And then you can go ahead and remove those basting stitches around. And then we're going to cut the the chenille, the chenille part. So we've got these great, you can see in the illustration, those blue lines, we're cutting in between those. And so what it's going to do is it's going to create the 2 layers. So we're cutting in between those channels. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to help our chenille bloom. And so the way we're going to bloom it, you have lots of different options. There is a chenille brush that you could rub on the fabric. You could use a nail file, so many different tools. I have an exfoliation bar, so to speak, that I kind of rub on that. One thing, if you think it's not blooming well, you can dampen the fabric, and I would suggest warm water to do that. What that does is when our fabric is made, there are starches and sizings, that keep it nice and crisp. We want to release those starches and sizings so the fabric can really start to fray and bloom and just give us some really great texture. So warm water is definitely going to help with that. Now we are going to return our machine to the hoop, or return the hoop to the machine, and we're going to stitch out our words. You're one in a melon. How cute is that? And we use black for this, so you could really see it, but you can certainly use whatever color you would like. And then we want to get our loop on, and we want our loop to come out really nice. So we are going to get our ribbon. We're going to fold it in half with the wrong sides together. And then we are going to get that attached there. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to place the trim in the top edge of the project, and we are going to tape it in place. And your tape should be outside of the stitch areas. But notice here the way they did the loop. We did our loops, the two tails of your ribbon, so to speak, are smack dab on top of each other. They're not offset. And then look in the corner of the project where there is that 45-degree angle. You want to lay your ribbon where it's evenly across that little 45-degree angle. You can kind of flip it and double check it. That's really going to help you get your loop done well. If you are still having problems, if your loop comes out a little wonky, on YouTube, Kimberbell has a great video on hooping your loops that will also give you a great visual effect. But if you just look at that 45-degree angle and make sure that's placed right on it, you should be just fine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to place your back pieces on there. And we are going to center it on top of your project horizontally. Your 2 center pieces should overlap about an inch or so. And do make sure that the outer edge of your fabric beyonds at least 1/4 of an inch for the seam allowance. We're going to go ahead and tape that in place because we don't want your foot to catch on anything. And then we're going to do our final stitch. It's going to stitch your little outline all the way around. Remove your hoop from the project, trim about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and then go ahead and grade those seams. Reduce the bulk on those corners so you can get some nice points when you flip it out. Now your project, you're going to turn it right side out. I'm sure it's looking great. You're going to get your point turner tool, press out your points or push out your points and press everything well. And certainly run your point turner tool around the edges just so you get a nice flat project. So this part's optional. I did not attach buttons because if you truly wanted this as a hot pad, you probably don't want plastic buttons on here. But if this is for decoration, now is the time to grab your favorite 3/8 inch black buttons, your needle and thread, and go ahead and attach those buttons. And your cute little project is complete. I hope you had so much fun stitching this little pot holder out. And if you're looking for more fun pot holders, Kimberbell has some great ones. I believe Chanel Fruit Stand has been out for a while and has all the different designs. Thank you so much for stitching with us today. Have a great rest of your day.